Vasishta continued, when one has attained wisdom through self-effort and with the help of the company of the holy ones, this world appearance does not expand in his consciousness. Notions of the reality of a world appearance do not get consolidated. There's an ongoing tendency to believe in our notions. That there is an external world is a notion. That there's an internal world is also a notion. We shouldn't forget that. These notions get consolidated. We hang on to notions. We're looking for understanding. We're looking for a response to a certain existential discomfort. We look for comfort and understanding. So we hang on to our notions. And in this way, the world appearance expands in consciousness. Notions arise in one's consciousness, and when a counter-notion is raised, the former undergo radical mutation. The total abandonment of all notions or ideas is liberation, and such an abandonment is possible when the pursuit of pleasure is abandoned. And that pleasure isn't just about idle pleasure seeking, it is about that drive towards comfort. And we probably have to we have to face up to our existential angst, we have to face up to discomfort. This is what I call the itchy spot, and not scratch it, not scratch it. And if we can see what we're doing, if we realise that all our anxieties are tied up with our notions, and that we can drop these notions, then it's an immense relief. This is bliss. This is liberation. Notions and ideas gradually cease to arise and to expand in one who resolutely refrains from associating words with meanings in his own mind, whether these words are uttered by others or they arise in one's own mind. We've got notions, we've got concepts, and words. Words are what concretise these notions and concepts. Once you put a label on something, it becomes very real. What makes apples fall to the ground? Gravity. Ah, okay. What's gravity? Gravity is what makes apples fall to the ground. We've got understanding now. This becomes our reality. We can measure the force of gravity. We can now use this to predict the motions of falling objects, the orbits of the planets. That's the power of this word. That's the power of this word gravity. It's the power of all words. But if you ask a scientist, well, what's gravity? They might give you a more detailed explanation. They'll say it's a force. And if you ask what a force is, well, they'll say a force is what causes acceleration. But what's a force? We're just getting what sort of effect the force has, but what actually is it? Can you see it? Can you feel it? Can you touch it? Can you hear it? Is it a sensory thing? A force isn't a sensory thing. Its consequences are sensory. A force is a notion. It's a word. So it gives us a story to explain things. A very empowering story in many ways. It's a notion which shapes our our view of an external world. This is what we have to realize then, that words are notions. Don't use words to concretize things. Consider, for example, your name. The extent to which you identify with your name. Your name is a sound, a certain combination of letters. What's it got to do with you? So this is inquiry. You can look into these things, explore these things. It says, refrain from associating words with meanings. Clearly you have to in your everyday interactions, but if you're pursuing inquiry, then look at the relationship you have to words and to the meanings of words. There's certain words I could say here which might shock some people. Isn't that extraordinary? That's because they've got certain notions about these words. These words can have almost a physical impact on some people. If you challenge somebody's beliefs, they can get very upset. If you say something rude about one of their loved ones, they can get very upset. Words can be very concrete. Words are the concretizing factor. The abandonment of egosense is the cessation of ignorance. This and nothing else is liberation. But it all amounts to the same thing. The abandonment of egosense is attachment to notions of ourself, of who we are. Once you drop all these, then what's there to worry about? Whether this world exists or does not exist, its apprehension or recognition by the mind leads to sorrow. Its non-recognition is bliss. When you recognize something, you put a label to it. When you put a label to it, it becomes concrete. This is recognition. And we can stop doing this, or see beyond it.